Welcome everyone. In our today's video, we are going to discuss about process creation and execution. We'll also see about the types of process with programs and output. So let's begin our journey. What is a process? Process, basically a program under execution, is called as process. The process memory is divided into different sections for efficient working of processes. Say the stack. It is used for local variables. Space on the stack is reserved for local variables when they are declared. The text section is made up for compiler program code. Read in from non-volatile storage when program is launched. The heap is used for dynamic memory allocation programs. It manages new, deleted, malloc, free, etc. following functions for process creation and process freeing. The data section, made up of global and static variables, allocated and initiated prior to executing the main. Process comprised of following things: a program code, a set of data, a number of attributes describing the process. The processor and input-output device can be used efficiently. Devices. Now let's discuss about the states of processes. There are 5 states when you are working with process. We have 5 states. First one is this new state, new, then ready, then running, waiting, and termination. Now process starts its execution from the new state, and after that it move for the ready state. Here in ready state, after if all the input output and everything is, the processor is ready for execution, it move to the running state from here. Suppose after running state, if it complete the execution, automatically it will go for termination of process. If it is not, then it will be the process execution will be interrupted. It will come to the ready state again. Any process starts its journey from in new state. New state. When it's come to the ready state, if the processor is ready for execution, it will move the process into running state, from the ready to running state. After in running state, suppose the process is free and the execution is complete, then it would automatically move to the termination state after completion. And suppose in such scenario, another process came to the execution and system says that process has higher priority than the present process, then the current process will be interrupted and the higher priority process will execute. And after completion of this higher priority process, automatically the interrupted process will again move to the running state for execution. And in another situation, from running state, suppose one process needs the input output event. In such case, input output device may not be ready. It may take time. Then it will move to the waiting state. When the input output work is done, then it will again move to the ready state, and then it will go for running state again using this line, and it will complete its execution and go for termination. In such a way, the process work in the with processor. This diagram is called process state diagram, how the process executing under a certain processor. This is the new state, this is the ready state, running state, waiting state, and terminator state. In new state, process being created when it will be in new state. Ready state, process is waiting to be assigned to a processor. In running state, instructions are being executed. In waiting state, process is waiting for some event to occur, say input output operation. In termination state, process has finished its execution. Now let's move to PCB, that is called process control block. For controlling the process, there are certain blocks. How the process is going to work, this is described under PCB. Each process is represented in the operating system by a process control block. It's also called a task control block. It contains the process elements. The PCB is created and managed by the operating system. The PCB is also support for multi-processes. When multiple processes you need to execute together, PCB manages those processes. This is the process control block diagram. How its structure is divided into different parts. First is pointer, there is process state, process number, process counter, program counter, registers, memory limits, open file list, and miscellaneous accounting and status data. Using this information, process control block consists and how it manages the different parts of processes. Now let's discuss about fork. What is fork? For creating any process, we need this fork function. When you declare a fork function, the program will divide it into two identical parts. One part is called the parent part, another is called child part. This is the main program. When you declare fork here, it will be divided into subsequently two parts. Let's see in details. It is a system call that creates a new process under Linux or Unix operating system. It takes no arguments. The purpose of fork to create a new process which becomes the child process of the caller. After a child process is created, both processes will execute the next instruction following the fork system call. Therefore, we have to distinguish the parent from the child. This can be done by testing the returning value of fork function. Now, if a fork function returns a negative value, that means the creation of child process is unsuccessful. If a fork function returns a negative value, that means the creation of child process was unsuccessful. If the process returns a zero value, then a newly created child created successfully. Fork returns a positive value, the process ID of child process to the parent. The returned process ID of type PID_T defined in the system/type.h header file. This is a library file, and of this library file, this PID_T variable is defined. Normally the process ID is an integer. A process can use function getPID to retrieve the ID assigned to this process. If you need to retrieve the process ID anytime in your program, you need to use this function getPID. We'll see all use of this getPID and the process variable in programmable part of this later part of this video. This is the fork diagram. You can also see from parent, when the PID is called, if PID is 0, child is successfully created. If the parent is PID is greater than 0, that means it's a parent. It is equal to 0, that means it's a child. Then it's in execution function and wait state, and parent resumes its execution, and after completion of child execution work, it will exit automatically. If it requires any input output operation, it will go for wait state again, and after performing this input output operation, it will complete its execution cycle, and it will automatically exit from the process table. Now let's discuss how the fork function is working with an example. This is the example of a fork function. This is the main function. Under this, you are writing this printf statement first before fork function calling. This is the fork function. We are going to call it. After this fork function, I have given another print statement after fork function calling and return 0 to the main function. The program ends here. Now, after executing this program, what will happen? First, whenever you are calling this fork function, it makes two identical copy of address space, one for parent and the other one for child. Both these process will start execution from the next statement and following after fork system call. Now this will be the output when you run this program. First, it will give before fork function calling this, and after fork function calling, 2 times it will print. Why it will print 2 times? One time it will be for parent, and this one is for child. That's why it's calling 2 times. Now let's consider the example. This is a program, C program. There are two header files I have used, stdr.h and c/types.h. Why types.h is required? Because of this variable declaration. This variable type is declared under this header file. Now under the main function, we have declared a variable here. I have given a printf statement, and here we have called the fork function. After calling that fork function, the fork will return an integer value to the PID. Now we need to check the PID. If the PID is equal to 0, then it's a child process, what we have seen in the earlier part of this video. When your fork returns a positive value like a 0 value to the PID, it's confirming that it's a child process, and if the value is greater than 0, then it will be a parent process. Here in the program, we have created two functions. One is for child process, one is for parent process. Under that, we have given one printf statement for each function. And when we are calling this function, when it will be child, it will call this child process function. When it will be parent, it will call the parent process function. Now let's see the output of this program. This is the output. How to run this program? First, you need to open your terminal. How to open your terminal? Ctrl-Alt-T you can press directly to open your terminal. Otherwise, you can open it from your search area by typing terminal. Now let's see which command we have used. We need to use the basic C running command, gcc -o for object file creation, and fork for object file name, and fork.c is our source file name. That .c source C file name. If you want to know how to run a program under GCC, I have given the link for this video. I have already made a video on how to install and run GCC compiler in your system. How to run a program using GCC compiler and how to install a GCC compiler under your system. You can watch this video also. I have given in the description area if you have any doubt. For running, just simply type this /fork. These are the warning. You can also skip this. Now this is the output. This part is this output I have given before calling fork function, and after it, this is a parent function, this is a child function, it is recognizing. Now discuss about the ps command. If you want to know the list of processes working under your system, you can see the process list using this command. Command name is ps command, and this is the syntax. And simply you can type on terminal also. You can see using this command. I have given an example here for my system. I have given this ps command, and all the processes under root, its root and all users it will show. Now let's discuss about PPID. What is PPID? PPID means parent process ID. What is PPID? PPID means parent process ID. For example, if a process with PID 1001 start a process name process2, then process2 will be given a unique PID such as 8250, but it will be given the PID of 1001 . Another important process is called init. It is a very important process called init. Init is the grandfather of all processes on the system because all other processes running under it. Every process can be tracked back to init, and it always give a PID 1 fixed, means init process always given a PID equal to 1, and kernel itself given PID equal to 0. By default is given PID is already assigned. Now let's discuss about this PPID diagram. When in initial state PID equal to 1, PPID equal to 0. PPID means parent process ID and PID is process ID. First process, when the initial state process ID is 1 and parent process is no parent, so it is given as 0. For process 1, PPID is assigned as 101, and process 2 is a child of process 1, and which PPID will be 101. So PPID 101 means assigning the process 1. Process 1 is the parent of process 2, so automatically the PID of process 1 will be PPID of process 2. Similarly, in process 3 also same thing will happen. PPID is 1 and this PPID here parent process ID for this one, and separate process value will be given for that. In such a way, if you create more processes, the ID is going to change in such a manner. Here PPID 1888 and the parent process ID this one, same this one. For process 5 it will got 1034, as because process 3 PID of process 3 is this one, so it will be automatically PPID of process 5. Just you need to consider the parent and child. On basis of this, the parent PID will be child's PPID. You need to remember this. Now, difference between a PID and PPID. PID stands for process ID, I have already told, which means identification number for current running process in the memory. PPID stands for parent process ID, which means the parent process is the responsible for creating the current child process. Through this parent process, the child process will be created. Another important function is getPID. I have already told getPID functions return the process ID for calling process. If you want to know the process ID for a particular process, just you need to use this getPID function. Let's see an example of this parental child process creation. A normal C program I'm going to write here. This is the normal C program code. This is a simple C program code. I've used these 3 header files. stdlib I have added extra because I'm going to need it later on. Making system clear with this function, terminal screen will be cleared automatically. System and double quote clear under this function, automatically it will clear the terminal. And as you know, this is the variable declaration, and we are going to use a switch case for creating the parent child function processes. We are going to take one input and switching this input. Now in case 1, this is the case 1, calling a fork function, and it is going to return some value to PID. If it is greater than 0, it will be a parent, automatically it will print, else it will be a child, and we have printed all the PPIDs and PIDs using getPID function and getPPID function. In case 2, Again, for function is called checking whether it is child or not. If it is equal to 0, then it is a child process. Again, printing the process PID numbers. Similar thing we have done using case 3 also, called a for function. If PID is not equal to 0, in such a case we are printing the parent process IDs. In case 4, we call a fork function. If the PID is less than 0, that means it's a fatal error. It's not possible. Program will automatically end. Why I've taken this program? To show the different PID numbers created by the processor, because all the PID is going to be different for every system. Because processor, according to the processor, the PID numbers will be created for parent and child. For showing these PID numbers, I've lengthened these programs. I've given more and more printf statements to show the parent process IDs in different states. Hope you have understood. This is the output of this program when we call it. Now write a program to create a process in Unix or Linux to show the error message. This is the program code. Simply like this, I'm going to, like the previous program, I've called a for function here and checking the PID. If the PID is greater than 0 or not, or less than 0 or not. If it is less than 0, that file cannot create the file and it will exit it. If it is equal to 0, that means a child process has been created. Child process has been created successfully, or else it has created a parent process successfully. I have given a sleep function. I have given a sleep function to delay the output. So here in this program we have learned how to see if the process is not successfully created. That means the process in the scenario, just you need to check the ID. The fork is returning a positive value to that ID. If the value is less than 0, that means process is not created, there is an error. Simply you can understand by using this. This is the output of this program. Okay, this is all about the first part in how to create a process with a fork function. We will discuss the process types and its programs and output in the part 2. So stay tuned with us to understand the type of processes and how to implement those processes using C code and how to run this with program and output. You need to see the part 2 video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel and to get more videos like this.